All right. Hi, everyone. So the Facebook Live, for some reason, was not working. The audio was terribly distorted. So I'm hopping over to Zoom and I will put this up for people to watch later. But I want to welcome you to my first live, even though it's via Zoom, in Modern Intuition. And I'm really, really excited to be doing this. I took a very long hiatus from running this group and um, part of it was because I was really clashing up against a lot of the mainstream ideas about intuition and its place and the whole concept of destiny and fate. And if you want to hear my perspective on how intuition works and in your world, you can read those posts. I encourage you to read my posts. I don't want to take the time to go into that whole backstory here. But in a nutshell, I believe that we have infinite possibilities and infinite timelines available to us out in the future. And the one that we end up on is the one where we put our focus. And the purpose of intuition is not to tell us our fate per se, but it is to guide us to our dreams and desires in the most efficient way, especially when logic and isn't there to direct us, which it isn't there quite often. So once you learn to tap into your intuition, you can, I believe, get to those higher life tracks faster and much more happily. And so, where I want to start today with the first teaching this week is about symbols. And, just to give you a little bit about my background, I'll share on one of the slides the whole, list of my credentials. But I've been a clinical hypnotherapist for about 30 years now. And a big part of that is helping people work with the subconscious mind. I've been an interactive guided imagery therapist for just as long. And one of the most powerful things I believe you can do is to learn to decode your own symbols. And those symbols may come to you in a download, in a flash. They could come to you in a daydream. They could come to you in automatic writing, and certainly they'll come to you in your dreams. And so, to get you started on how to start decoding them, because once you start decoding those symbols, then something very, very powerful happens when your subconscious mind knows and your higher self knows that you're actively working with your symbols. Then it's like you're agreeing to a language with the subconscious mind, and it will start to give you more messages through symbols when it knows that you're learning that language, so to speak, if that makes sense. Now, if you're watching this in the replay or in the live today, you can always drop me a question in the chat. If there's something I say that you want to ask more about, please do ask, or ask it in the comments when you watch the replay. So for right now, what I want to do is share my little share screen. And so what I need to do, actually, before I do that, I need to navigate over to the right screen. So it pulls up. Okay, now let me do the share. Okay. All right. So today I'm going to be sharing with you unlocking your hidden wisdom through the power of symbols. And just for those of you who don't know who I am, I've been studying symbols and the subconscious mind through working with my clients. I've been here in the Charleston area with Charleston Hypnosis Center since 2006, 20 years here. Before that, I was a co-owner at Hypnosis Concepts in Beach. I'm the founder of the American Hypnosis and Coaching Academy, so I teach coaching and hypnosis. And those are my other fun highlights, just to give you a little background about me. Now, unconscious mind is a vast and complex territory full of hidden wisdom. It is amazing. Your subconscious records every memory. My first instructor in hypnotherapy, a licensed clinical social worker at Orange Coast College, used to hypnotize people back to their birth experiences, and they could recall information and corroborate it. So you've got this massive database in the subconscious that records your memories, and it also, again, will speak to you through symbols. It's kind of like what I call psychic shorthand. A symbol can speak 1,000 words in 1 second or in one moment, right? So, learning the language of the subconscious mind, one of the best ways to do that is to study symbols and understanding those symbols. And one of the things we'll be talking about today is creating what I call your symbol dictionary. And the more you work it, the more you log it, the more you enter symbols in there. They may shift, they may change, but you got to start somewhere with it. And you learn to create your own symbol dictionary. And it's super fun. And we'll talk about later, like the specifics of that. So I wanted to do an exercise with you guys today. See this symbol, this image of an ice cream cone. And I'll pause for a moment. And what does that symbol mean to you? So, how you answer that question would be when you think of an ice cream cone, what's the first thing you think of? And you might want to write that down because you can put this as your first symbol in your symbol dictionary today, your symbol journal. So, when you think of an ice cream cone, what are your first impressions? What is the first thing you think of? It could be adjectives, it could be a memory, it could be a feeling. So even though it's a symbol, it evokes something within you. It can evoke a memory, a feeling, a description. So universal associations. There's going to be universal ones, personal interpretation. So universal would be like feelings of pleasure, indulgence, treats, childhood nostalgia. For me personally, when I think of an ice cream cone, I think of something indulgent and sweet, and the feeling for me is happy. Now, you might consider your own specific life events, memories, could be something simple, but it'll be unique for you. And so you want to write that down. And it could be a reminder of something sweet that has since passed, a memory from the past. But here's where it gets really interesting, and I'll share a memory about this. My very first psychic that I ever went to see in my mid 20s, I moved to California from DC, which was like considered one of the most conservative cities in the US. I didn't know anything about psychics when I lived there. And then I moved to the hotbed of holistic metaphysical in Orange County, so we're in Southern California. And one day somebody said, we're going to Hollywood Hills. We're going to see this famous psychic. So we drive up there and it's this beautiful mansion and the woman is sitting in a room and you paid to, have a reading with her. And honestly, I don't remember anything she said except for the beginning. In the beginning, she said, she had her eyes closed, she smiled, she nodded, and she said, I see an ice cream cone. And so I'm sitting there waiting, and she said, "That's good." And I said, "Really? That's good. What does that mean?" And she said, "Oh, for me, an ice cream cone symbolizes prosperity." She said, "Whenever I see an ice cream cone, that's my higher self, my guides, your guides and angels telling me that that you are surrounded by prosperity or going to be encountering prosperity." And I was like, oh, okay, great. And I dismissed that and I really didn't think about it. I thought it was kind of weird because personally, that's not what I think of when I think of an ice cream cone, like I said. But it wouldn't be until years later when I fully grasped the full understanding of her personal symbol. And we'll come back to that. So, what is a symbol dictionary? That would be your personal list of symbols where you're going to write down their meanings. And so it's curated, meaning it's your symbols, it's the meanings they have for you. If you have dream journals, you could probably go back through and start writing down symbols. There could be ones that just, when you see that, like maybe you see a red cardinal, and whenever you see the red cardinal, it's a sign or a symbol of a loved one that has passed. That's a common thing for people. So typically, the symbol, what it represents for you, is not literal. It could be visual. It could be, it reminds you of a memory, like I said, but it could also be a feeling, an idea, a thought. And basically, it is the shorthand for your subconscious mind and your higher self to give you a message very quickly in the form of that symbol. And because once you start to make this list, you're going to have an agreed upon. It's like if me and my friend have an inside joke and we know whenever we see a frog, it reminds us of men that we've dated that are like frogs that never turned into princes. But it's like that symbol is in agreement between the two of us. When we see it, we know what it means. And so you're now going to be creating this symbol dictionary with you and your intuition, with you and your inner wisdom. So to do this, it's really fun because you'll, as you go on with it, and the more you work it, decoding dreams, decoding visions, downloads, as I call them, you're going to be able to interpret your own intuitive guidance coming from your higher self, your subconscious mind, universal mind. You'll begin to pick up on themes if you work this long enough. And it will really help to enhance your intuition and even problem solving because the more and more you use it, the more and more your subconscious will speak to you through the symbols because it understands that you know what that symbol means. So this really will facilitate not just intuition, but your personal growth. And I think your confidence within your intuition. So there's two symbols, or two faces of symbols. So there's the universal symbols, the archetypes, and those are typically across cultures, across different areas that there's like a common understood meaning to that symbol. So I put the stop sign here because pretty much you could be anywhere in the world, even if this is in English, the word stop, and pretty much everyone knows what that means. It's a universal symbol. So versus a personal symbol would be like the ice cream cone. So it would mean one thing for you. For me, it's happy indulgence. For someone else, it means prosperity. And so most of the time in your dictionary, I would say the majority of those symbols are going to be your personal symbols. And sometimes even a universal symbol will have a unique and individual meaning for you. So, for example, when we talk about the horse, interpreting the symbol of the horse, universally, it probably most people might say freedom or independence. But for someone in particular, it might remind them of growing up on a horse farm or having a horse growing up. So it might represent childhood carefree times. For someone else who had a memory of falling off a horse and getting injured, that might be a symbol for feeling a feeling of a fear of losing control. And there's no wrong answer here. It's basically just you deciding what what that means for you, or intuiting what it means for you, and then kind of going with it. And it doesn't mean that symbol meaning cannot change, but you've got to start somewhere, and you'll kind of get a feeling over time. The more and more you might see that symbol, that you're like, yeah, okay, now I've seen it 5 times, and pretty much I get the feeling it always means freedom. I'm going to go with that. That's going to be my sort of go-to final answer, so to speak, on what that symbol means. So to do this and to start with this, probably one of the most powerful ways to do it once you start your journal, your symbol journal, is, some people may already be getting downloads, having intuitive ideas and symbols come to them in meditation. But if not, if you feel like you're kind of a newbie with intuition or you don't trust it yet, then start with your dreams. So start by recording your dreams. So have a dream journal by your bed, have a dedicated dream journal. You can put your symbols in the background or have a separate journal for your symbols because they won't always come in dreams. They might come in other ways, as we said, like a daydream or a meditation or just a spontaneous download. So the most powerful way to start though is like recording your dreams. You will see symbols in the dreams. So, and a symbol could even be like a city. So for me, I've had many dreams where I'm in New York City. And for me, New York City is, I have some good memories of it, but in my dreams, it always seems to represent a place that's a little chaotic and where I feel a little lost. So whenever I have a dream where I'm in New York City, New York symbolizes a place where I might feel out of sorts or lost or not in my element or without support. So again, it could be a place. And so it's not just a stop sign or a ice cream cone or a horse. It could be a place that symbolizes something to you because there's a feeling with it. So for example, if you dream about Hawaii and you've been there and you absolutely love it, then it could be that every time you dream about Hawaii, it symbolizes to you renewal, for example. So often the emotional feeling you have with a symbol is the first clue to its meaning. So you can create that symbol dictionary. So you want to write down the symbol. If it was in a dream, you're probably going to put that in your dream journal. And then when you want to explore the meaning, the simplest way to do that is if someone was to ask you, first impression, when you think of X, when you think of Hawaii, what do you think of? When you think of an ice cream cone, what do you think of? When you think of a red balloon, what do you think of? And just go with that. It's very simple. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to go into deep interpretation. It's just your initial gut feeling. Again, the subconscious is very simplistic in that way. It's giving you a message through the symbol, and that message is a feeling, a knowing, a few attributes, and it's typically not too complex. And so you enter that dream symbol. You could put the date in there because let's say that symbol shows up for you again. You could record the date, get the feeling if it had the same feeling for you or a different meaning. Because when you're first starting to create that dictionary, um, it might be that sometimes the symbol emerges and sometimes, evolves, and then sometimes it will stay the same to get to a point where you trust that when you see that symbol, you know what it means. So if you've enjoyed this and you want to learn to start interpreting your dreams and the symbols in your dreams this month, I may run it again. I'll probably run it again, but every Thursday, I'm running a dream workshop. And so if you go to RebeccaTaylorshaw.com, dream/dream-lab, you can check out the dates. You can come to 1 2-hour workshop. You can come to multiples. You just pay for each workshop separately. And the only thing you need to do is bring your journal and bring a dream, one dream, and I'll help you to start to decode your symbols and interpret your dreams. And it's very powerful. There's so much rich intuition there. It's really empowering. Okay, so key takeaways. Your symbols are a personal map or language from the subconscious mind. It can help you with self-awareness. Eventually, you can use it. You can ask for symbols. You can ask for insight and get answers. And typically, you want to prioritize your own personal meaning for it than what the universal symbol is. Always go with your personal meaning, especially if it does feel different than the universal one. You could write down both, and then see over time, like what your subconscious and higher self want you to understand that meaning to be between the two of you, or you and those other parts, I should say. So practice this by writing down your dreams, recording your dreams. The more you record your dreams, the more they will speak to you and show up. A lot of people say they can't remember their dreams. Guarantee you, if you go to bed every night and just say, I'm going to remember my dreams, and you have your dream journal right by your bed, you'll start to remember more and more as the days go by. All right, so that's my presentation for today. Thank you guys for watching. And if you have any questions about this or comments, definitely drop them in the chat, and I'd love to hear from you.